Citizens of Gotham, before we get started with our episode, let's take a moment to recognize our partner sponsor, Organic Priced Books. Now, if you're listening to this, I'd be willing to bet you enjoy comic books. If you do, much like myself, you probably love seeing your favorite runs and stories collected in an edition that you can proudly put on your shelf. These collected editions are wonderful to read and display, but man can they be pricey. This is where Organic Priced Books comes in. Organic Priced Books is a small, family-owned business dedicated to getting you those collected editions of comics that you love at great prices. They have an expansive online store where you can browse, pre-order, and purchase from their in-stock items. Not only do they carry the major companies, such as DC and Marvel, but they also carry other brands such as IDW, Boom Studios, Image, Dark Horse, and more. They also package these books with amazing care, so they show up to your door in pristine condition. So head down to the link in the description of this episode and visit Organic Priced Books today. Also in that description, you'll find our promo codes. The first is tfrbatpod to get you $2 off of any order, and the second, tfrbatpod Ship It Together, to save you 5% off of any order of 3 or more books. Check out all the offerings that Organic Priced Books has, save money, and support TFR as you do so. Thanks to Organic Priced Books for supporting us. Now let's get on with the episode. Welcome, citizens of Gotham, to The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast focusing on all things The Dark Knight and the DC Universe. If you'd like to connect with the show, you can find us on Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and Blue Sky at tfrbatpod. And if you have thoughts, questions, comments, or even suggestions for future episodes of the show, you can shoot us an email and we will read those. Shoot those to tfrbatpod@gmail.com. My name is Eric Carter, and I am your host, and I am joined once again by my partner in crime, my co-host, Joe Fornerado. Joe, how are you, buddy?
I'm good, Eric. Happy belated birthday. We are recording a day after your birthday, so happy birthday. I could say that in person now.
Thank you. Yes, yes. So June 1st, my birthday. We're recording a day after that, maybe releasing a day after that. We'll see. We'll see how it goes when we get to the end of this. But yes, thank you. I had a great birthday. Got a very nice Batman-related gift for my birthday. So my wife got me a Batman chef knife because, as Andy DeGenova said, they put Batman on everything. So, but yes, thank you. We're not here to talk about my June birthday, though. We're here to talk about another June anniversary, which we will get to. We'll get to that in just a few moments. But Joe, we are in the throes. We're what? Is it 5 weeks? We're
Just
within
about almost 5 weeks. Yeah.
yeah, 5 weeks away from Superman. So we are celebrating the summer of Superman. So you have no idea what's coming, but I have a few curveball questions for you. These may be head scratchers too. I'm very curious.
Okay.
So
Is this like trivia?
no, not
Oh,
trivia.
okay.
I don't know how often you think about these. So
Okay.
first one's pretty broad. Do you have a favorite Superman story in comics?
Oh, wow. Huh. I'm gonna cheat. I'm looking at my books here. Um, I mean, off the top of my head, it's topical for something possibly in the near future. Superman for All Seasons is definitely one of the ones that I probably go back to More Than Most.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Gorgeous Absolute Edition, by the way.
yeah, I really like Superman for Tomorrow. I think that's a really interesting story. Very different. You gotta love the art. Again, Jim Lee, I believe, is for Tomorrow.
Yes, it is Jim Lee. I think it's Brian Azzarello
Yes, very
writing.
controversial story if I remember correctly. Um, but I gotta say I love is it Superman Birthright by Mark Waid. That is one of my
Yes.
favorites. Yeah.
Okay. So you gave me three. So I'm gonna force you between those three. Which one are you picking up off the shelf first?
Ooh, I gotta go for All Seasons. That was the first one I chose. That's the one I have in an absolute edition. That's the one I'm going with.
For all seasons?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Final answer.
Awesome. Okay, I like it. So we're simpatico there because Superman for all seasons is absolute. I mean, the Norman Rockwell of it all, the, homemade apple pie Americana of that story is just, oh God, I love that story so much. And they did give us, I think, the most unique absolute we've ever gotten from DC for that for that book. So
Are,
just the way it's constructed.
are you referring to like the texture of the
Yeah,
cover? Yeah.
it's almost like cloth
Mm-hmm.
bound.
Yep.
Very nice. Um, and Tim Sale's art looks gorgeous, blown up like that.
Yes.
Um,
I love
so
how it's a Tim Sale book, but it looks, and we'll get into this more. I love how it's so different than The Long Halloween. Like
yeah,
it's
for
for that
sure.
writing team to do something completely different or
But now
creative.
I will say, Birthright is a very, very close second,
Mhm.
like 1B almost. And I had
But
not
when I
read that
said,
story.
I'll admit, when I said For Tomorrow, I was
Mhm.
thinking Birthright. I was looking at For Tomorrow and I was thinking Birthright, but I do really enjoy For Tomorrow also because I think it
Yeah,
is an interesting story. Actually, the other one that just came to my mind is the one from Alex Ross and oh geez, did Alex Ross write that one too? The one that's in where is it? I'm looking for it. The world's greatest superheroes, the absolute. It's Alex Ross. Paul Dini actually might have wrote it. The one in that huge collection. Um,
I know the one you're talking about.
yeah, that's another
Yeah.
good one. I can't remember the title of it off the top of my head.
Well, awesome. I'm glad we're in agreement on for all seasons. But yeah, Birthright was one that actually I had not read for the longest time.
Hmm.
And when the deluxe edition came out, I picked it up and was blown away by that
Yeah.
story. So it's a close, very close second. Okay, moving on to our final question here in this little. I just wanted to, even though we do want to do some Batman and it's an anniversary. We're Summer of Superman. We gotta do it. So this one, I'm really gonna put you in the spotlight here, Joe. So I'm taking Henry Cavill off the table.
Okay, I was curious where you were going. I thought that's where you were going, and I was like, well, that's an easy one, but okay.
So we can't use Henry Cavill. So you've got you've got Christopher Reeve. You've got Brandon Routh, Dean Cain. We've got who else we got? We got Tom Welling. You
Tyler
got
Hoechlin,
Tyler Hoechlin, um,
George Reeves.
George Reeves. So without having Henry Cavill as an option,
Yeah.
who out of the other Supermen would you say is your Superman?
Honestly, that's an easy one. It's not even a fair question. It's Tyler Hoechlin. And I would assume it's
Ah,
the same for you, which is kind of boring.
it is. I was
Um,
I was hoping you would have a different answer.
no, I don't. And it's no disrespect to anyone else because I truly don't think we've ever had a bad actor play the part. Um,
Hmm.
I'll be honest, I don't think I've seen more than the Mole Men movie for the George Reeves stuff.
Hmm.
And I couldn't even tell you anything about it. I don't really remember watching it very well. I've seen a little bit of the Dean Cain stuff recently. I've been watching a little bit of Lois and Clark, which has been pretty fun. Kind of like a before bed, throw it on and fall asleep to it kind of thing. Like it's just like very nice and comforting.
And say what you will about his, whatever outside of acting for Dean Cain. I thought he was a pretty good Superman.
I like him as Superman a lot.
Yeah,
And again, I never really got into the show. We've talked about this before, but like when I was a kid, I thought it was like a soap opera. Like my mom watched it, so I thought it was literally just a soap opera. So it never even occurred to me, which I was kind of
it is
a soap
romantic
opera.
comedy. Yeah,
Yes. Um, I never even watched because I didn't think there was enough Superman. And again, I never watched it to even have an opinion based on actual evidence. But when I would watch the trailers, I guess, or the commercials while I was watching TV, to me, it never appealed to me. And I wasn't, quote unquote, a Superman guy. So there wasn't enough for me to get into it to even give it a shot. Where now I guess I wasn't completely wrong that it was a romantic comedy slash soap opera, whatever you want to call it, geared more towards a different audience.
hmm
But it's kind of fun going back and watching it and seeing no, they did a good balance to an extent.
yeah,
So yeah, yeah. I mean, even Brandon Routh. I mean, I love what Brandon Routh did on, you know, say what you will about Superman Returns. I don't think he was the problem, but I love that he got
no,
another shot during the Crisis crossover, which was a lot of fun on the CW. But Tyler Hoechlin, I mean, I again, we've talked about this ad nauseum, and me and you are really on the same page with that show. But I'll be honest, when I think it's Brendan who always says he likes the way he portrayed Clark in Supergirl. I'm kind of going the opposite way, where when I saw him on Supergirl, I was kind of like, I don't know if I'm going to like this. And I liked that they did their own thing once he got his own show.
yeah, and I actually wanted to touch on that a little bit too, because I mean Tyler Hoechlin is outside of Henry Cavill, absolutely my favorite Superman.
You,
He's
I
so
think you actually like him so much. I wouldn't have been shocked if you have him almost on even playing field.
he's close. He's close. I mean,
Yeah.
had budgets and
Yeah.
cinematics and things like that, it's really hard to compete with
Hmm.
Cavill. And the presence. I mean, he's got a little more presence than
Yeah.
Hoagland does. But I will say, I've heard a lot of people talk about, and I think even you and I downplayed at one point, like how different his Clark and his Superman are, because that's kind of a Chris Reeve thing.
Yeah.
But I'm currently just not like watching every day, but here and there I'll go back and rewatch episodes. I've started on
Yeah.
season one. I'm going all the way through Superman and Lois. He is absolutely the geekiest, nerdiest dad on the planet as
Yes,
Clark.
I agree with that. When I say I'm glad he did his own thing, I'm not going as far as saying there's no differential because I truly believe there is a differential between his Clark and his Superman. It's just subtle. To me, it's more of a balance, which
Hmm
I like. And yeah, the geeky dad, I mean, I could definitely relate to that as a
Yeah.
geeky father myself. And I love the interpretation of Christopher Reeve of Clark Kent. I like that. I don't want Christopher Reeve did such a good job of that version, and it is
hmm
so much of its time, but it was also like that's kind of his thing. I don't want to see someone trying to mimic that. And I like
Yeah.
that Hecklin didn't just, it seemed like they wanted him to do that for when he was on Supergirl as a guest appearance because they wanted to channel that a little more.
hmm
And again, for a guest appearance, that's fine. But I liked it when they wanted to do their own thing, they took it their own way.
Yeah, and I think the difference is it's a more modern
Yeah.
interpretation of what that is, because
Mhm.
there's those moments early on when he's like coaching when he's an assistant coach on the football team,
Yes.
when like he needs help carrying the cooler, and
Those are the
yeah,
first parts I thought of in my head was when he was coaching. Yeah.
yeah,
And I liken it to the animated series where like you have Clark being this like almost boyish, especially when he's with his parents, which I'm looking forward to seeing that interpretation in maybe the new movie where how he acts around his parents is like I always go back to the the Christmas episode
hmm
of I think it's Comfort and Joy when he's around his parents. That's not the same acting as how he is when he's Superman. You know,
exactly, yeah.
it's
It's
that
such a good
like
episode.
yeah. So I like the subtle differences where it's at least enough to have that separation.
Nice. Okay, well, we'll move on to our main event that we're going to talk about here. But I mean, with it being the summer of Superman, I do want to, if we're not covering something specifically Superman on the show, to the lead up, I at least want to throw in some
Mhm.
some nice little fun Superman things like that. So we will do that for the next several episodes leading up to Superman releasing July 11th. But Joe, let's get to what we're here to talk about today. It is a gosh, it's with my birthday yesterday and the age of this, it is a upcoming
It's a little scary.
30th anniversary. Let's talk about the 1995 film Batman Forever. All right, so Batman Forever was released June 16th, 1995. It was directed by Joel Schumacher, based on a screenplay by Lee Batchelor, Janet Scott Batchelor, and Akiva Goldsman. Of course, it was produced in name mostly by Tim Burton,
Mhm.
and it was starring Val Kilmer, Tommy Lee Jones, Jim Carrey, Nicole Kidman, Chris O'Donnell, Michael Gough, and Pat Hingle. So, Joe, it has been 30 years. We're a little earlier on the anniversary, but we've got another Batman anniversary to talk about here in a couple of weeks. So we decided we did want to get this one in here, especially with recent events. So it's been 30 years since Batman Forever released. You and I talked a little bit on about Batman Forever when we ranked the live action Batman films a
Mhm.
few episodes ago. But let's dive into it a little further. Everybody who's gonna listen to this episode, they've seen Batman Forever. Hopefully one day we will see a little bit of a different version of Batman Forever. So we'll get into that. But so far as this film goes, go go back to 1995 if you saw it then, and just walk me through what a younger Joe thought of this movie coming out of the movie theater, if you remember.
I'm trying to remember.
And the reason I asked
So
that,
here's
um,
the ironic part. I'm trying to remember if I actually saw this in the movie theater now because my brain, my first memory of this movie,
mhm,
and it goes to show you how different our lives were at 9 years old then, based compared to now. So
mhm,
I was 9 years old when this movie came out. I remember being in my room with a friend of mine playing with the Batman Forever action figures.
okay,
He had seen the movie and I had not.
okay.
And he was describing what happens in the movie and we were acting it out with the figures. Now, today, 9 year olds don't even play with action figures anymore, I don't think.
No, that's us
They're like
older
too old
people.
for that now. Yeah, like,
We're the ones who buy the action
yeah.
figures.
But so anyway, I don't remember if I think I saw it in the theater. I don't remember. I distinctly remember seeing Batman and Robin in the theater with the same
Mm,
friend. Um, but I don't remember if I got to the theater to see Batman Forever. I'd imagine I did, but I don't have the memory of it. I remember the comic. I remember watching the home video. I remember this was my favorite Batman movie, bar none, when I was a
mm,
kid. But I can't distinctly remember actually seeing it in the movie theater. Again, I can't imagine not seeing it. I can't, but I don't know if it was that time where like maybe my parents were like, "Ooh, let's go see it before," because I was like 8 or 9. They weren't usually strict with that stuff, but I really just I can't be honest and say I definitely remember seeing it. Um,
okay, gotcha.
so that's a little tough, which is weird because I actually didn't even think about it until just now.
So, from your earliest memories, though, of seeing this movie, did you like it when you first saw it? Because
Yes.
a lot of people, I hear say, first time I saw it, absolutely loved it. Wasn't
Yes.
until later on that I figured out, uh oh.
No, I mean because this was 1995. I definitely knew of the animated series. I definitely watched the animated series. But to me, my biggest nitpick now of the movie being Two-Face, at the time, I wasn't analyzing, oh, this isn't my version of Two-Face. Like that wasn't in my brain at 9 years old. Again, I got to give Brendan credit because he says this a lot. The new thing is always the best thing. When you're a
Mm,
kid, like when I was a kid, Ninja Turtles 2 was the best Ninja Turtles movie. Then 3 came out. And yes, I thought 3 was the best because it was the new one. Uh,
sure.
so like with this, and I wasn't a fan of Batman Returns when I was a kid. So when
Yeah,
this
you've said
came
that.
out, and it had Robin and it had Two-Face and the Riddler and all these posters were everywhere. I still remember going into Sam Goody and these posters were everywhere and they would play the trailer and the music videos all throughout Sam Goody. I don't know if you remember Sam Goody or even know what the hell I'm talking
I
about.
do, yeah.
Okay. For all of our all the listeners over 35 probably will remember Sam Goody. That was the thing, was you're in the mall and this movie was everywhere. So being too young to remember, Batmania from 89, I remember how big this movie was. And when it came
Yes.
out, it was everything I wanted it to be. The Batmobile was awesome. We got a Robin, we got all this other stuff. It was bigger and better and it was more fun than Batman Returns. For a 9-year-old kid, this was what I wanted in a Batman movie, and I loved it.
Yeah, that's awesome. And for myself, this is I'm sorry if you've heard this story before, but I mean this
No,
it's an
you have to tell
anniversary.
that story. You
We
have to.
can't we
Yeah.
can't do this episode without talking about it. So, 1995, I lost my dad. I was a
Mhm.
little kid, lost my dad, and I was in a really just serious funk as a little 5 year old who just lost his father. My mom tried all kinds of stuff to kind of pull me out of the funk I was in, and for whatever reason, she decided she was going to take me to this movie. I had no idea what we were going to. I just knew we
Mhm.
were going to the movies. It was like an event when we got to this movie
Mhm.
theater. I do not, I'm sure I had seen, like, maybe while watching TV or something. I'm sure I had seen the trailer. I'm not sure. I don't have any recollection of it. But I just remember pulling up to the movie theater and they had one of those big horizontal banners hanging down the side of the
Mhm.
building. That was a black banner with the question mark and the bat in the center.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, probably one of the coolest Batman movie logos to this day.
Yep.
Is that question?
I still love
You
it.
and I are
I got the
you
shirt
and I are
on.
both
You got the
sporting
shirt
it.
on. Yeah.
Um, so I had no preconceived notions of what Batman was or who his villains were or how they were supposed to act. And that's every time I watch this movie, I recognize, the flaws in it and things like because there are many. But it takes me back to that 5 year old kid in
Mhm.
1995 who was discovering my now absolute favorite character in all of fiction or anything
Yeah.
else for the first time. So I owe it to this movie that I'm still such a huge fan of Batman today. But yeah, for whatever reason, going to this movie clicked, not only turned around the way I felt at the time, but gave me this character that I absolutely fell in love with and just identified with. So, having said that, all these years later, yes, I know what all the
Mhm.
complaints are about this movie, and I agree with the majority of them. But I have such a sentimental love for this movie. Val Kilmer, for the longest time, was my Batman. Christmas of 1995, I got the three VHSs of Batman, Batman Returns, and Batman Forever. I watched all of them and was very confused as to why the first two movies had this weird looking dude as Batman.
Yeah, and I
So,
I had seen 89 and Returns prior to this. And it never it's weird because we always think about how like reboots are such a new thing and people going to understand recasts and I don't think it ever even occurred to me that it was a big deal that there was a new Batman when Batman
mhm.
Forever came out. And even when the new one, even when Batman and Robin came out, it was like, okay, Val Kilmer's not coming back. We got a new guy, but Chris O'Donnell's coming back. Okay, whatever. Like, cool. I'm glad Chris O'Donnell's coming back. Even as a kid, you kind of just rode with it.
Yeah. It's fascinating though. I mean, even between the two of us, because there is a few 8 years of an age gap between us.
Hmm.
Um, at 5, I don't even know, before I had seen this one, I don't know if it was something that my parents were even on the radar to let me watch, was the first two Batman movies.
Yeah.
So it's so fascinating taking like just a few years apart between you and I,
Yeah, because
how
we're
different
only
the
3 years
experience.
apart.
Yeah, but
Hmm.
how different the experience may be if you've seen the first two when you watch this one, or if you haven't.
Yeah.
So it's pretty unique. But that goes to show you, every Batman movie is going to be someone's first, and every one of them is going to be someone's Batman. Every one
Hmm.
of these actors. So I mean, even I'm sure even George Clooney has his oddballs out there.
Listen, I've said it all the time since I was a kid. I still to this day admit full on I did not know Batman and Robin was a bad movie. It was the new thing. I loved it. I was 10 or 11 when it came out. I didn't care. I had the toys. It was a new Batman. Batgirl was in it. George Clooney was fine. Again, I never analyzed things when I was a kid. I watched them and I had fun with them, and that was the end of it. I know I get criticized even now to just enjoying everything. Well, take that up a notch even when I was a kid. One thing that I will say with this, speaking of how, like you said, you hadn't even seen 89 in Returns, with me, I never had that this is my Batman mentality when I was a kid because I grew up with everything simultaneously. I
Hmm.
started with 66, I went right into 89. I knew I didn't care for Returns because it was too weird for me.
Yeah.
But and then I had the animated series too. So I never was like, oh no, this is the right one and this one is stupid. So maybe by always being open to that and like really enjoying 66 still while not, Batman Forever came out, obviously the Riddler is pretty close to Frank Gorshin's Riddler. So
Hmm.
that fit right into me. And the goofiness of Two-Face didn't bother me. And then, to throw in the Holy Rusted Metal line, like I thought that was cool because I
I
still
still think that's
watched.
cool.
Yeah, like I still watched that show. I had it on VHS. My dad taped every episode for me. And in the summer
Yeah.
when we were out of school, I probably watched it every day, you know? So I embraced every version of Batman for a long time, and I still
Hmm.
do. I mean, you go through phases, in your teenage years and others when, you have to pick and choose because you just don't have the time and you're, getting to that cool age a little bit. But I never I never put down one or the other as far as the interpretations when I was a kid. Now I can see flaws, but it's not like I'm gonna crucify any of them.
Yeah. And and this is not a Batman and Robin episode, but there's something. This is going to be a real throwback for you, Joe. There's something that you said to me during when we covered Batman and Robin quite a while ago now, um, about how I felt about Batman and Robin, because I did not like that movie
Hmm.
as even as a kid. I didn't like it. And you said, you said, I think you probably were the most elevated 7-year old on the planet when you you
Yeah.
thought that was a bad movie. And I think I've put some thought into that actually, because I'm like, man, yeah, why? As a seven
Yeah.
year old, why didn't I like that movie? I think it was completely down to Val Kilmer
Well,
wasn't in it.
Val Kilmer was your Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So seeing George Clooney was just, and it was, I don't think it was anything at all against George Clooney, but he wasn't,
It didn't
he
give you that
wasn't,
feeling.
no. So, even as a 7-year old, I will say we've talked about this before. I can put on Batman and Robin now and enjoy it for what it is.
Hmm.
Very much as I still do this movie, even though I at the end of the day, I will always think this is a better movie than that one. Sorry about it, Andy. Uh,
Well, so while we're on that,
sure.
um, I don't know whether I think either one is a better movie.
Mm,
I think Batman and Robin is definitely more consistent. That doesn't
I'll
necessarily
give you
make it
that.
better. But I also, so with Batman Forever, I've definitely had a harder time watching it as I've gotten older because I see what it could have been and it frustrates me more.
I'm with you on that. Yes.
Um, and Two-Face is hard for me to watch. Like it's almost like because I feel like knowing Tommy Lee Jones frustrates me more because it's like
Hmm.
what this is so out of character for him. It's not like they cast a Robin Williams to play Two-Face.
Because you know what Tommy Lee Jones is capable of.
And I think Robin Williams is a bad example because Robin Williams could even play it straight. But like they didn't cast a comedic actor and say
Hmm.
play a comedic Two-Face. They cast Tommy Lee Jones, who was a brilliant actor, and then he just went off the rails.
Well, I mean, you watch any interview with him from '95, and
I know.
he's like, I don't know why they wanted me. So
Um,
he,
but to just go on that real quick, so that's why I have a harder time with this movie. And I gotta be honest, Summer of Superman. I've been in the middle of watching the Christopher Reeve Superman movies,
mhm,
and I just finished Superman 2, and I was like, we're covering Batman Forever. I should probably sit and watch Batman Forever. And I was like, do I really like what I? Now, I'm on Superman 3, mind you. I'm not on like
mhm,
the good ones, and I'm like, I kind of rather watch Superman 3. Like I've seen Batman Forever enough where I probably don't have to rewatch it.
mhm,
I'm like, I'm gonna put on Superman 3, and if I have time, I'll watch Batman Forever later. And I don't remember what happened. I ended up watching Batman Forever anyway. I like stopped Superman 3 halfway through. Um, I think my son wanted to watch something else, and then I was like, all right, I'll put on Batman Forever now. And luckily, he kind of got into both actually, but he wanted to. He was getting into Batman Forever too, which was fun. And it's more of like I can watch it as like a background thing now, but it's hard for me to sit and like really focus on this movie after all these years because it is frustrating. Um, but there is still that nostalgia for it because of how much I did love it as a kid.
mhm.
It's hard to completely trash this movie because at the time it really did do what it was supposed to do.
Yes.
I just think the quality of the movie is not why it did what it did. I think it was the possibly the overcompensation from the prior movie is why people embrace this so much and
Yes.
like quality be damned.
Mhm.
And then it was like too much of a quote unquote good thing for the next one. I don't know.
Yeah, you and I talk about this all the time about studios and things like that, learning the wrong lessons.
Hmm.
WB definitely took the wrong lesson away from this one.
You could
Uh,
almost see a parallel with this in the kind of the Superman movies where, we had the Christopher Reeve movies and then they did Superman Returns and it was too much of the same. So then they
mhm.
bring in Zack Snyder, and again, I'm not even trying to make this a Superman episode or a, you know, whatever you want to call it. But like, and I love Man of Steel, but some people felt it was too much the other way. And now, because of Man of Steel and BVS and whatever, now we find ourselves trying to go back the other way, but hopefully not as drastic, while we're trying to find that happy medium. And it
Yes.
seems like the same kind of ebbs and flows that the Batman franchise went through in a different
Yes.
way, maybe. Um, we had to get Batman Forever and Batman and Robin to settle on what I think is the perfect Batman movie in Batman Begins and then the sequel and the third film. Like that trilogy was like the wheelhouse. It wasn't as weird and creepy as Batman Returns, but it found that happy middle ground between the campiness of, Forever and Batman and Robin and then still had its comic book elements and so like as much as I don't care for this movie, we had to get to we had to get through these movies and they were successful as much as again I think I don't think it was because of the quote unquote quality of the movie, but it did what it needed to do and it worked and there's no denying that.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. And while you're
Sorry
talking
for the
about,
tangent.
no, 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 that's okay. Because it actually brings me to one of the points I wanted to make about the movie. you know, it had a $100 million budget, and it made $336.6 million globally.
Hmm.
Today, that would be a flop, or pretty near it.
Well,
But in
if you raised both numbers, it would be okay.
Yeah, yeah, but in 1995,
Yeah,
that was pretty big success.
yeah.
It was very very big success for WB. They were very happy with the outcome of this movie. Hence why they rushed Batman and Robin into production.
It actually is almost
Um,
ironic, even if you double both numbers. Let's say it had a $200 million budget and made 670 million.
mhm.
WB would have panicked today. I mean, look at,
Yeah,
you know, it's pretty crazy to think that way now.
but we also, I mean, we have no idea what the take from the movie theaters at that time was
Yeah,
or anything like
exactly.
that.
It was
So
it was very different back then.
yeah, and it's it made 100 million, or not quite 100 million. Let's see, Batman Returns made 266.
I
So
would also imagine the toy sales for this movie were off the charts.
oh
And
yeah,
WB loves their toy sales. That's why a lot of these cartoons always get canceled because the damn cartoons
yes,
never sell any toys
exactly,
because they don't
yeah.
put out toys for them.
But a few years before they had Batman Returns, which Batman from 1989 went from a $411 million box office to 266 for Returns,
Mhm.
and then rebounded with Batman Forever to 336 million.
What did Batman
Um,
and Robin make? Do you have it in
ooh,
front of you?
that's a good question. I
I don't
can
want to put
get
you on
it
the
up
spot.
real quick. Good question. Let me
I'm just
check.
curious because it had to have had a bigger budget. Say what you will about that movie. That budget is on the screen.
Let's see, Batman and Robin. Here we go.
Oh, okay. The budget was
Um,
only 125.
well, so depending on your source, from what I'm looking at,
Oh
125
yeah,
to
to
160,
160.
238 million
Yeah.
box office.
So depends on what that budget is, whether it would be a flop or a break even or a whatever back then. But yeah,
Yeah,
definitely less.
yeah. But I was telling you before we started recording, I was doing a little poking around about just different articles and things like that about Batman Forever. And 10 years ago, to celebrate the 20th anniversary of
Hmm.
Batman Forever, there was an article that Forbes put out about Forever, and it was Jurassic World was about to come out.
Okay.
So there's an interesting parallel because on the same like June 16th release date, Jurassic Park opened, and a few years later, Batman Forever opened on that
Hmm.
same frame, and then Jurassic World in
Yeah.
2015.
Okay.
So there was a record broken by Jurassic Park. It had the biggest single day
Hmm.
domestic gross. And then that was broken by Batman Forever in
Hmm.
1995. It was the first film to hit $20 million in a single day in the
Wow.
United States. So I just thought that was really cool that this movie that you probably wouldn't think of had this huge box office milestone
Yeah.
in 1995, or that someone years later would write an
Put two and
article
two
about it.
put two and two together on the date. Yeah.
Yeah, while they're talking about this upcoming new Jurassic World movie.
Yeah.
So yeah, I just thought that was really cool. It was a really fun article. I may send it to you when we're done, Joe, because it's just pretty lengthy. It's a good article. But so yes, successful, and did spawn another sequel. But Joe, let's get into a little bit of the movie itself. So we know the story. Two Face has the city kind of under lock at the beginning, and he's holding a bank and a bank guard hostage. So Batman has to come in and save the day, and that gets us going on this roller coaster freight train of a whimsical, silly ride, with Batman and Two Face and Robin and the Riddler, of course. So Joe, I kind of want to start because I know you've already said it. You're not the biggest fan of this film. So I
Hmm.
want to start with the negatives and get those out of the way, and then we can kind of wrap up on positives. So what would I mean? I'm assuming it's Two-Face, but what are your biggest like nitpicks of the movie or your biggest issues so far as Batman Forever?
Honestly, my biggest issue is Two-Face.
Yes.
Just because it doesn't. So, all right, I'm not even going to go into it because it's been beaten to death. Everyone knows what people's complaints are about the performance and whatever, him trying to compete with Jim Carrey. Everyone knows all that stuff. Other than that, though, I think my biggest nitpick with the movie is that the tone is kind of all over the place. And it's not campy, but it is campy. And I also think like, and again, as a kid, none of this bothered me. But then when people would start to point out things, I can't look past them anymore.
Right.
And this is why I've kind of always taken that stance of like, if someone loves a movie, I don't like to point out flaws of it because I don't want to point it out to them so they don't like the movie anymore. Like I'd rather that person be ignorant and just enjoy the movie.
Yeah.
Because movies have been ruined for me that way, and I'd rather be ignorant and just enjoy the movie for what it is. But like the movie doesn't make any sense half the time. Like the structure was changed so much, and the order of things was changed so much that none of it makes sense. The Batmobile chase in the beginning leads nowhere and comes out of nowhere, and they're literally not doing anything. Like
In the
it makes
middle. It's in the middle. It just comes
yeah,
out of nowhere.
like
Yeah.
and I still can't make heads or tails of what's going on. You just mentioned him robbing a bank at the beginning. It never even occurred to me that that's what was happening in the beginning of the movie. Like, yes, they say it multiple times, but do you actually see him doing anything? No, you
No.
just get there and he's got the guy in the vault. This bank is on like the fifth floor of a skyrise for reasons. Like, like think about it. Like, why? Like, and
Yeah.
um, somehow they're pumping more acid into this vault than could be in the thing, and it's coming from the metal containers on the outside. I don't know. Like none of it makes any sense. And again, these are things that as a kid never occurred to me, didn't care. It was fun. I was having a
Yeah.
blast with it. But now I watch it and it's like, and people think this is like cinema compared to Batman and Robin. And I think I've gotten to the point now where I'm baffled by the unabashed hate that Batman and Robin gets that everyone is okay with. But people will defend this movie to the death. And I'm kind of just like, I don't care about either one. Like, I could watch either one of them and think it's stupid but fun. Why
Hmm.
do people still think Batman and Robin is like the worst movie ever made? And then they can watch this one and be like, that's fine. Or like, no, this is great. That not only is this good, people think this is their favorite Batman movie. And I just and again, none of this stuff occurred to me as a kid. I give Andy credit for pointing out it's literally the same damn script as Batman and Robin.
It is.
And it never occurred to me, other than the fact that I knew it was like a formula in a superhero movie. Again, as a kid, the formula of a superhero movie was at the end of the movie, a new sidekick occurred. Like a new sidekick showed up and they all fought together at the end. So in my mind, I was like, oh, I wonder who the new sidekick is going to be in Batman 5. Like I really like that's what I thought was going to be the structure of a superhero movie going forward. Was okay,
Hmm.
so Batman 5 is going to be all three of them fighting together the whole movie, and then we're going to get like some new sidekick at the end. And there's
Tim
going to be
Drake.
two more villains. There's going to be two more villains because every superhero movie has to have two villains. That's just the thing. Like
Hmm.
I literally thought that was how the structure of a superhero movie goes. And in this franchise, that's really what it was. So if they made a fifth and it wasn't that structure, I was going to be disappointed as a kid.
Yeah. So the inconsistencies would be my absolute and I'm not going to touch on Two-Face because like you said everybody's talked about it. Everybody's talked about how he's hamming it up and things like that. So but I what I will say is the inconsistencies is absolutely my frustration with this movie as well. The biggest thing being every one of our leads is in a different movie.
Yeah.
I
I
mean, with
just
the
got to the
exception,
Batmobile chase. I'm sorry. Where like Batman's just driving down the street and there's Two-Face in the stupid carriage and he blows up the. I still don't even know what the hell's going
and
on
we
there.
have no idea why Batman
Why
is
is
out
Batman
in the
driving
bat.
down the street? Why is
Yeah.
Two-Face there? He sees Two-Face and he's like, I'm just gonna drive past him. Nah, I'm just gonna drive away.
Well, so the
Got to get to see
inconsistencies, though,
Chase.
yeah,
Can't blame him. Gotta say.
we're going to talk about that. But the inconsistencies of the movie with your leads, because I mean, well, Jim Carrey and Tommy Lee Jones are very much in the same movie together, but they're both way over the top. Um,
And I will.
but
Jim Carrey
your
never bothered me in this movie. Ever. He still doesn't. I actually still
No,
love
but
Jim Carrey in this
we
movie.
need one of them to be
Yes.
the straight man,
Yeah.
as we've talked about. But even Nicole Kidman, and I know you have this thing for Chase Meridian, but
I was 9. She is my she is what Terry Hatcher was to Brendan for me.
oh gosh, okay. So even Nicole Kidman, though, I mean, she's in this relationship with Bruce Wayne, but she's in a completely different movie than Val Kilmer is. Because she's this psychiatrist, but she's not really a good one. Because all she wants to do is sleep with Batman or Bruce Wayne.
Well, I'll say performance-wise, they're in the same movie. I think script-wise, I don't know what the heck is going on. But I think like she's not playing it campy.
No, no, okay, you're right, but she is in a different movie because she's
Oh,
in,
she's in a borderline, you know what movie, I think.
yeah,
We'll say romantic I don't
yeah,
know. You know.
erotic thriller.
There you go.
And then Val Kilmer, and I think this is what's always stuck with me about Val Kilmer. I personally think he gives the best performance in the movie, but it doesn't fit because it's such a different performance than what everybody else is doing. He is in completely in a very serious
Yes.
Batman movie, and
Other
he's
than when he's
playing
with Chase Meridian.
yeah, and he's playing a Bruce Wayne who has a lot of trauma, who has not dealt with it. Um, Yeah, and I think he brings a lot of gravitas and a lot of seriousness to it. And I think the reason that a lot of people for a long time didn't like this performance, because I've heard it said that Val Kilmer is wooden in this movie and things like
Hmm.
that. I think the reason being is because he is lost in his own this Bruce Wayne is lost in his own mind about
Yeah.
this red book, and they cut all of it out of the movie.
Yes. And I will defend Val on that because I don't mind his performance. He's trying something. I don't think he's phoning it in at all, but I think there were probably times when he was acting his butt off for this and kind of just being like, why am I playing this way when everyone else is doing whatever the hell they're doing? Um, and I
Hmm.
actually do think I think I've heard people say that his Bruce Wayne isn't different at all from his Batman. I don't agree with that. I actually don't think that's the case. Um, but there are certain things that he does in this movie, where, like the stupid smile. Even I'll admit the stupid smile is so like I wonder what he was thinking in that scene, where he's playing this part so straight the whole time, and then he gives that goofy smile after he kisses Chase because Chase says she's in love with Bruce.
Hmm.
Um, there's a couple of scenes where maybe his delivery's a little off when they're going serious. But I don't know. I never really had an issue. I think it just I think there were probably times where he wasn't necessarily phoning it in. I think he was kind of just throwing his arms up in the air because he could only do so much.
Hmm.
And most of the scenes with Alfred are really good. I think he has trouble with the scenes where he's arguing with Chris O'Donnell a lot.
Hmm.
I think those are where the delivery's a little off for me.
See, in some of those scenes, I like the most, honestly.
Okay.
I love the scene of him arguing with Dick in the Batcave after Dick has saved him from the Two-Face attack.
Yeah,
I
I
love
like
it.
that one. I don't like the how about Dick Grayson college student. Like that one's a little
That's the
goofy.
one.
Yeah, no, I don't like that line. But I
Okay.
think the conversation of about vengeance or revenge, I like that conversation. But there are certain lines
Yeah, one of my favorite conversations in the entire
and
movie
another
is
and another and yeah.
yes, yes,
Yeah,
that one. So yeah, when they're talking about killing Two-Face, but yeah, and speaking of Chris O'Donnell, I think Chris O'Donnell does a really good job in this movie.
I agree. I like Chris O'Donnell. Yes, I get it. He's like
He's a little
25 years
old, but
old.
yeah,
As a kid, I think I just assumed he was like 18, 19, and
yeah.
because they don't say he was adopted,
Hmm.
he just took him in. So if an 18 or 19-year-old loses his parents, I don't think there's anything wrong with someone taking that kid in. I mean, most people do live with their parents till they're, especially nowadays, like 2025. I don't think it's that. I think to me, that's like a nitpick. I don't think
Yes.
that's something that is as big of a deal as people have made it out to be. I
No,
think it's
I
fine.
don't either. Um, I will say I wish he had gotten. This is always one of my big pet peeves with this movie. I wish he had gotten a little more to do once he suited up at the end.
Hmm.
Because I mean, Robin's kind of. I mean, he just gets kidnapped when they go to the island. So it's
Yes. The ironic part though is he wasn't trained, so
yeah, that's true. But I mean, we saw those skills with the laundry. So, but uh, in defense though, because there, and I agree with this. Some people don't. I very much see these two movies, Batman Forever, Batman and Robin, as the 90s versions of the 66 show.
mhm.
Robin got kidnapped all the time in the
Hmm.
66 show too. So,
Yeah, so did Batman.
yes. So it, just par for the course there. Um, but yeah,
I like to
so
believe that he trained a lot in between Batman Forever and Batman and Robin, and you know,
that's why he didn't get, well, he still
he
got
did.
kidnapped in Batman and Robin.
Yeah,
So
he lasted a little longer.
he did last a little longer. Um, but okay, so everyone in the world knows the complaints and the bad sides of Batman Forever. So here's what I'm interested in, Joe, because I know you're not as big on this movie as I am.
Hmm.
So what are your big pluses about Batman Forever? And you
Well,
cannot say Chase Meridian.
Chase Murray was going to be my choice. No, honestly, okay. So I do love. I mean, love is a strong word, I guess. I don't have any problems with Jim Carrey's performance in this movie. I really don't. Again, that's one of those product of the times that does not bother me in the least because it fits this depiction of the Riddler.
Mhm.
He's just an eccentric version of the Riddler, but he dresses the part, he leaves riddles, good enough for me, I guess, and he's entertaining as hell.
I think he's very Frank Gorshin.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, that's not a secret. That's
No.
clearly what he's doing. Um, so I mean, again, I don't. The only performance that I ever had an issue with, and as a kid I didn't, but as a now, the only performance I have an issue with is Tommy Lee Jones's Two-Face. I have no issue
Yes.
with any of the performances. Um, crap. Alfred,
Michael Gove.
Michael Goff. I love him. Never a bad performance. He's great in this as always.
Mhm.
Um, Chris O'Donnell's fine. I liked, especially as a kid, I loved him as Robin. Looks great as Robin when he's in the suit and everything like that. Yeah, he's college Robin, like he's college student Robin. Fine. And you know, my biggest positive, other than the performances, is the Batmobile. I love the Batmobile, and
Nice.
I will never be okay with people criticizing this Batmobile. I won't. I love it. Neon be damned, and yes, there is just as much neon in this movie as Batman and Robin. I get it. Um, I love that freaking Batmobile. And my son now is begging me for a Batmobile that has fire in the back. I now have to somehow find a toy Batmobile that has fire in the back of it without burning down the house.
Oh, like real fire.
Yeah, yeah, he doesn't know the difference. Uh, he doesn't think that's not okay. And granted, every Batmobile has the fire in the back, but this is the first one he happened to notice and loved. So,
Oh, this
um,
one? Yeah.
yeah. But it's just it's a cool looking Batmobile. I'm sorry. I just think it's awesome. This was my favorite Batmobile as a kid.
And lights be damned. The McFarlane Batman Forever Batmobile is
Yeah.
so good. It's so good.
I thought you said that it actually looks a little better in person. It's not as
It does
green.
it does look a little better in person, but it's still not right.
Okay.
So I modified mine.
Yeah.
So, but anyway, that's tangent.
I
It's
but I
so
still
happy with it now.
I love the neon color engine. I think it looks really cool. It
Yes.
fits the movie, yes, but even take it outside of the context of the movie, I still think it's a cool looking Batmobile. I love the rims having the Bat logo on it. The crazy unrealistic fins on the back are awesome. I don't care. I wish my old toy still lit up. I tried my hardest to get this damn thing working again. I bought a new bulb. I changed the like I literally bought a new bulb for the damn thing. Other than being like an electrician, which I'm not, I don't know how to save this thing, but I want it working again so bad. And yes, I could probably eBay one that still works. It's not the same. I want mine working again. Um, I love this Batmobile. And the one I had where you push the button on the back and it lights up just like the Batmobile. It
Hmm.
was so cool. And I wish I still had it working. I still have it. It just doesn't light up.
I I love the Batmobile, absolutely. So ditto on that one. I love the costume design in this
Very good.
movie.
Yeah.
I think the bat suit. I mean, I'm not as big on the sonar suit, but I still think it's a good looking Batman suit. I have the hot toy of it.
Mhm.
See, if I had the Panther suit option, I would absolutely get that because it's just gorgeous suit. What's funny about
As a kid, I liked the Sonar suit better.
really, yeah, I mean, because it was
Yeah.
the new one.
Yeah, exactly.
The funny thing about that is,
Mhm.
because this movie, everybody kind of puts the nipples on Batman and Robin.
Yeah. So
Say that's the movie that
the
started it, but
Panther
no,
suit
it's
has it.
the Panther suit has the
And Robin.
nipples. Robin suit has the nipples. But what's funny about it now is if you get like an action figure or a toy that's Batman Forever and it doesn't have the nipples, people get irritated.
Hmm.
Where are the nipples?
Yeah.
It's so funny because it was such a thing for the longest time that these suits had nipples, and now you got to have them.
And
Um,
I'm convinced that that's the reason why we don't see a lot of stuff with the Panther suit is because they don't want to. The Sonar suit doesn't have the nipples, so they push that one more, I think.
Funko did it. They
I
put the
know.
nipples on there.
I know you said that. And I also think it's because the Sonar suit is the one that goes with Robin. And
Yeah.
you never see the Panther suit and Robin suited up together. So it's easier to put the Sonar suit with Robin. Like
Yeah.
the Guardian set, whatever that was called, the Night Guardian. What the heck was that set called? The toys. It was the only one that had the actual um Guardians of Gotham. I think that was it.
Yeah, I don't
It
remember.
was the two pack that had the actual costumes from the movie. It was the Sonar suit
Mhm.
and the Robin suit, and then they had the two pack with Two Face and Riddler also. Those are the only way you can get the actual movie versions, other than the weird other versions that they always do for the toys.
Gotcha. And yeah, so outside of the costume, I mean, I think the costumes look great. Outside of that, I like this music.
Hmm.
Primarily the march, the main theme.
Yeah.
I mean, that's very much. I mean, if most people that hear that now will say that's Batman, they not to the level of the Elfman score
Mhm.
whatsoever, and it never will be. But it's recognizable as Batman.
Yes, it is. And I think, I mean, I don't know, do casuals even care? Like I know we do as geeks, where like Elfman is the Batman score, but like I put this on the other day and my wife comes in and she didn't look at the screen. She's like, "You're watching Batman and Robin." I'm like, "No, Batman Forever." She's like, "Oh, okay." Like she knew that sound, like she knows what it is.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so
And I
it's
will say some of it,
recognizable and I think it's fun. I think it works for the movie.
yeah, when some of it gets a little whimsical, with some of that stuff with Riddler, especially, is a little much with the music,
Yeah.
but especially the main theme, I do really love. And then again, I mean, I can't. I'd be remiss if I didn't mention one more time. I love Val Kilmer's performance in
Mhm.
this. So I mean, that's the biggest positive for me is I love him as Batman, and to this day, I will say he's pretty close, in my opinion, as one of the best looking. Batman in the suit
Hmm.
to this day.
Yeah.
There's a shot that Jamie Drewley always talks about when he walks out of the fire
Yes.
after Two Face has shot the gas grenade at him.
Yeah. Sweating his ass off coming out of that fire.
He looks so mean and
Yeah.
so badass in that shot. It's like, whoa. I mean, it's still today when I see it, it's like, whoa, that's Batman.
Well, so while you're on that, the scene that actually caught my son's eye when I had it on was literally the first scene where he's just standing next to the Batmobile in that light with the shadow.
Mm.
And that was a pretty striking image. And my son, like, he just looked at the screen and lit up. Like, he was like, that's Batman. And I'll be honest, my son really has not taken to Batman at all. He's a Spider-Man kid. The last couple of days, he's been like branching out a little bit, which has been pretty cool. Like, he watched Superman with me, and then he was watching this, and I put on Superman the other day to finish it, and he's like, "Daddy, I want to watch Batman." And I'm like, I'm like, okay. I'm like,
No
which one?
argument here.
He's like, the same one as yesterday. I'm like, ah, but but I'm like, you know what? My son wants to watch Batman. I'm not, looking a gift horse in the mouth here. I'm putting Batman on for him. So I put on Batman Forever, and we watched it a
The
little bit.
the age makes sense though.
It does.
Yeah. But outside of those things, I'll also say I think the fight choreography in this movie is pretty fun.
Hmm.
The stunts and the action scenes are really good. I love Batman's entrance into through the glass in the skylight
Hmm.
at the ball,
Yeah.
Riddler's ball there, or Enigma. Um, so yeah, there's a lot of things that really look good. Production value in this one or Batman and Robin cannot be understated. There was so much production value.
Whether it makes sense or not, the
Yeah.
him going from the chair to the Batcave in that little missile thing is awesome.
Yes.
Don't care if it doesn't make sense. That is such a comic booky thing, whether it makes sense or not. Like that would be Batman. He would somehow have a way to get from Wayne Tower to the Batcave. That I'm good with it.
Yeah, and there's one I want to know because I know you and I talk about um, visual effects when it comes to generated imagery a
I know where you're
lot.
going because I wanted to bring it up too.
I Okay, cool. I wanted to get your opinion on that shot when Batman after that whole Enigma tech ball when he's chasing Two Face and he
Yeah.
jumps from the building. You get the CGI shot
Yes.
as he's falling. So before I say anything, I wanted to get your opinion on that shot.
So there's like a thing online right now that is like a trend of it's a stupid meme or a GIF. It's like the regression of CGI needs to be studied.
Yeah.
And I agree because it never even occurred to me that that was a CGI shot until someone pointed it out to me recently on another podcast. It might have been Andy. I don't remember who pointed it out. I don't think it ever occurred to me that it was a CGI shot because when I'm watching a movie from 1995, unless it's really, really bad, I don't even think about it. And that shot looks awesome.
I'm so glad you said that. I was afraid you were going to tear it apart when you said I wanted to talk
No.
about it.
And I think that's why it's so fascinating to me that we'll watch movies now and be like, what the hell is this CGI BS? And like you watch movies from 1995 and you're like, no, that looks awesome. Like maybe it's because they only had like two CGI shots in the whole movie and they spent as much time as they could perfecting them
Maybe,
to
yeah.
make it look seamless. And I think it looks great in that. I think the only CGI shot in this that looks iffy is the weird effect on the cape when he's about to get the fire, but I think it's supposed to look weird.
Yeah, I think so because it's doing something weird with the tech or something like that.
Yeah, but no, I like that shot. I don't know what the heck is going on in that scene. Why Two-Face somehow ended up down there and Batman's on the roof and can't figure out what the heck is going on at all.
But his
But
Batman's movement as he's falling from the
yeah,
building, the way his cape billows as he's on that descension, I mean, it looks
yeah,
so good.
I love it.
So, yeah, one of my absolute favorite sequences of the movie is that, even if it doesn't make sense. Um, and the biggest plus to this movie, and I know that Andy DiGenova is going to love this. It's a Halloween movie.
It is. I watch it every Halloween. Count it for Scarathon. Absolutely.
Kidding, kidding. I'm kidding. But yeah,
No,
so
there is one more thing you got to bring up, and I was waiting for it, and maybe you forgot. the soundtrack.
Oh my gosh.
We got to bring up the soundtrack.
Yes, what a banger of a soundtrack. I
So
mean,
again, Sam Goody, when you were when I was a kid, this soundtrack was the shit. Like, I mean, it still is, but like Kiss from a Rose was everywhere. And it's
yeah.
still just such a I can't turn that song off if it plays. There's like five versions of that song. I'm such a nerd with music. My dad actually had the single to that because my dad was such a big music guy and he loved the sound of that song. And he had like the single where there's like literally five different cuts to that song.
Hmm.
And yeah, that music video and the soundtrack in general was just so good.
Which in that song got a little bit of a resurgence at the Super Bowl this year
Yes.
with the Mountain Dew commercial.
Yep.
And then yeah, Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me.
Hmm.
Another great song from this soundtrack. And there's several others that aren't, yeah. Method Man was on this. There's several big artists. And I think they were just trying they were trying not to do like one like Prince.
Hmm.
But they just wanted as many big artists as they could at the time on this soundtrack. Um, this is gonna irritate you to no end. But
Uh-oh.
one thing with the soundtrack recently, I've noticed. So I have the vinyl, and it's a just plain black.
It's called a record.
Yeah, you know, vinyl record. So mine
I
is
have the
plain black,
polypropylene.
and shut up. I noticed that they have this new one that's got it's the exact same one, but it's got like green splatter
Oh yeah, yeah. That
on
stuff is
the
cool. Yeah.
and it's like, oh man, I already have it. Do I want to pull the trigger just because this one's got green splatter on it? So yeah, I just thought I'd throw in some vinyl record love your way, Joe.
Yeah, of course. That's fun.
All right, well we'll wrap it up there on Batman Forever. Is there any final thoughts you wanted to give on this movie before we move out of here?
No, I mean, it's definitely a. I have a very weird relationship with this movie now as it exists. And as much as I really do want to see the quote unquote Schumacher cut of this movie,
Mm.
I think it might add some depth to Val Kilmer's performance, but I don't think it's gonna like save the movie for me.
See,
Um,
that's what's interesting is because you hear people who have seen the Kevin Smith
yeah,
screening talk about how much of a difference it makes. So I don't know. I'd
yeah,
be
we'll
very
see.
curious.
It could just be the excitement of being one of the few people that have actually seen it.
Could be. Yeah.
And good for them. They're allowed to feel that way. Like I wouldn't take that away from them. I'm literally 15 minutes away from where that screening was, but I couldn't sit through 6 hours of whatever the heck was going on in that place. Couldn't do it. I love Batman, but I don't know if I could sit through something and then watch a Batman movie at 4 in the morning. That's
No.
not exactly my cup of tea.
Awesome. Well, this one for me, warts and all, it's always going to be one that I hold dear, and it's going to be a sentimental favorite for me as long as I
Mhm.
live. So we'll never crack I will never ever since 2005 I'll never be able to say this is my favorite Batman movie or anything
Mhm.
like that,
Yeah.
but yeah, it's sentimental favorite absolutely. So and I think at the end of the day for me that's all that matters. So
Yeah,
there we are.
and I can't believe we're 30 years out from this movie. I don't know what makes me
Yeah,
feel older that this is 30 years or the other one that we're going to talk about is 20 years.
I know.
I feel like there should have been a much bigger gap.
I
to
know.
make, but yeah, again, I don't hate this movie. I really, it's hard. It's hard because I had so much love for it for so long. But I think we've just gotten better Batman movies, and I'm lucky that I can dislike this movie because of different versions. So that's a
Yeah.
plus, is this doesn't have to be the bar anymore, where it was. I mean, this was the bar in
Yeah,
1995 for me.
absolutely. And so you're teasing it a little bit. So we got an email that I did want to cover because it's kind of flat out asking us. So we'll move
Okay.
on to that. We got an email from Stuart from Guernsey, and he says, "Hey guys, it's Stuart." He said, "As I write this, we're almost a month away from the 20th anniversary of Batman Begins. My guess is that you guys will be celebrating it in some way on the show. If so, I would love to send my memories into the show as I have extremely fond memories of it. Anyway, I'll leave it there for today. I hope you're both doing well, Stuart. So, Stuart, absolutely. Our next episode will be a celebration of the 20th anniversary of Batman Begins. So, yeah, I'm good with Stuart. Absolutely. I'm sure Joe's good with it. Send us your memories and your thoughts. I'd love to hear that.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that was the hard part was trying to figure out how we were going to cover this and that. Um, we had to obviously pull one off the anniversary to be able to
Yeah.
do it, unless we were going to cover both in one episode. But
Yeah, and I didn't
yeah,
want to do that.
no. And that one I will be taking a break from the Summer of Superman to watch that one. Any excuse to watch that one, I think I'm taking.
Yeah, and plus the three more times you're going to watch Batman Forever this week when Joey asks. So
That is accurate. Now I'll be. It's like, oh, now I'm gonna be sick of this movie.
awesome. But yeah, so Stuart, we will be covering Batman Begins on our next episode. Should be close to the. We're going to try to get as close to the anniversary as possible.
Yeah.
Um, but that's going to do it for this episode. Joe, thank you for enduring my love of this movie enough to come on and chat about it with me. I had a good time, even if you don't like it as much as I do. That's okay. But thank you for joining and let everybody know where they can find you.
No, this was a lot of fun to talk about. And again, even though I'm not crazy about the movie, I still enjoy talking about it and kind of reminiscing about how I used to feel about it. And I hope I wasn't too hard on it. Um, just because I do know you love it, and I think you know where I'm coming from when I talk about it. So, um, but yeah, you guys can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd at what is it, J411, and you can find me on Facebook at Joe Fornerato, Fornarotto.
Fantastic. And as for myself, you can find my personal accounts on Instagram, X, Threads, and Letterboxd. That's me Carter89. That's me Carter89. The show can be found at Facebook, Instagram, X, Threads, and Blue Sky at tfrbatpod. Holy cow, they're just social medias are getting us crazy. If you're looking for a way to support the show, the best and the easiest way to do that is leave us a rating and review. If you do leave a written review on Apple Podcasts, we will read those on the show. If you're looking for another way to support us, and we don't ask that you spend a dime on this show, but if you'd like to, you can go to redbubble.com, search Shop TFR, all one word, and find our logos created by Justin Kowalski on all kinds of cool stuff there. Our theme song was created by the very talented Gaurav Venkateswar, and his music can be found at gbtunes.com. Make sure you go to the link in the description of this podcast and go to Organic Price Books and save yourself some money and support this show as you buy some collected editions. But that's going to do it for this installment of TFR. On behalf of Joe, I'm Eric. Thank you guys so much. And until next time, make sure you keep that bat signal lit and pointed skyward. Batman was created by Bill Finger and Bob Kane and is the sole property of Warner Brothers Discovery. The Fire Rises, a Batman podcast, is in no way associated with DC Comics, DC Studios, or Warner Brothers Discovery. The thoughts and opinions of the participants of this show are their own and do not reflect the companies that they work for. Thank you for listening. We'll see you on the next episode.